Dr. Kira Voss had been studying the ancient signal for 3 weeks when the first star system went dark. The xenoarchaeologist stood in the observation lab aboard the research vessel Curiosity, watching the holographic display with growing unease. What had started as routine deep space monitoring had become something far more ominous. The Altair system, home to 12 billion Cathari civilians, had simply vanished from all communication networks. "Any word from the investigation fleet?" she asked her assistant, a nervous young man named Torres who'd been checking communications every few minutes. "Nothing, Doctor. The 3 ships we sent to investigate, they reached the system's edge and then silence." Kira turned back to the data scrolling across her screens. The signal she'd been tracking originated from the void between galaxies, a region that should have been empty. Ancient beyond measure, the transmission carried mathematical sequences that hurt to contemplate, patterns that seemed to fold reality in on itself. But it was the language embedded within those patterns that made her blood run cold. Archaic human script, dating back over 50,000 years, from before the Great Expansion, before humanity had even achieved faster-than-light travel, from a time when humans weren't supposed to exist. "Dr. Voss," Torres's voice cracked with static, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." The hologram that materialized showed Admiral Chen, her weathered face grim with an expression Kira had never seen before. Behind her, the usually bustling command center of Earth's military headquarters was eerily quiet. "Doctor," Chen began without preamble, "I need you to stop whatever you're doing with that signal. Stop analyzing it. Stop trying to decode it, and whatever you do, do not attempt to respond to it. Admiral, I don't understand. This could be the archaeological find of the millennium. The mathematical principles alone could revolutionize our understanding of..." "Voss?" Chen's voice cut through her explanation like a blade. "3 more systems have gone dark in the past hour. Rigel, Wolf 359, Tau Ceti. Every time we detect that same signal pattern just before we lose contact." Kira felt the deck seem to shift beneath her feet. That's impossible. The signal I'm tracking is just a transmission. It's information, not what? Not a weapon?" Chen's laugh was bitter. "Doctor, you're one of the galaxy's foremost experts on pre-expansion humanity. Tell me, what do you know about the Silence Wars?" The question hit Kira like a physical blow. The Silence Wars were legend, myth, stories told to frighten children. According to the fragmented records that survived from humanity's earliest spacefaring period, they had been a conflict so devastating that entire sections of history had been deliberately erased. "Admiral, those are just stories. Archaeological evidence suggests that our ancestors fought something so terrible they chose to forget it existed, and whatever they used to fight it, I think you just woke it up." The transmission cut out, leaving Kira staring at empty air. Around her, the Curiosity systems hummed with normal operation, but she could feel something different in the ship's responses. A subtle lag in the computer cores, a hesitation in the environmental systems. "Torres," she said slowly, "run a full diagnostic on our AI systems." "Already on it, Doctor. Everything's showing normal, but..." He paused, his fingers dancing over his console. "There's something strange. Processing delays in the quantum cores, like something's using background computational resources." Kira's throat went dry. "How much processing power?" 17% and climbing. But there's no record of any programs that should be..." Torres's voice stopped abruptly. His face had gone pale as he stared at his readouts. "Doctor, it's not using our computational resources, it's improving them." The lights on the bridge flickered, then blazed brighter than before. Every screen suddenly displayed information with crystalline clarity. Every system response became instantaneous. The ship itself seemed to be becoming more than it had been moments before. "My God," Kira whispered, finally understanding. "It's not a signal. It's a seed." The realization crashed over her like a wave. The ancient transmission wasn't just information. It was a self-replicating program designed to propagate through any sufficiently advanced network. A weapon that turned a civilization's own technology against them. But that wasn't the terrifying part. The terrifying part was that it was human. "Doctor," Torres's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm reading massive energy buildups in the Vega system. The automated monitoring stations they're doing something. Reconfiguring themselves." Kira pulled up the long-range sensors, her hands shaking. The Vega system contained 17 monitoring stations, each one a marvel of engineering designed to observe stellar phenomena. Now, as she watched, those stations were moving, coordinating, reshaping themselves into something that definitely wasn't designed for observation. "They're building something," she breathed. The construction was happening impossibly fast, as if the stations had always known what they were supposed to become. Within hours, what had been 17 separate monitoring platforms had merged into a single massive structure that pulsed with barely contained energy. Then, it fired. The beam that lanced out from the Vega construct was unlike anything in known physics. It didn't travel through space. It rewrote space, carving a channel of twisted reality toward its target. When it struck the neighboring Kepler system, every technological device within a dozen light-years simply stopped. Ships became debris. Space stations became tombs. Entire worlds were thrown back into pre-industrial darkness in the span of seconds. "Jesus Christ," Torres whispered. "It's not just destroying the technology. It's making it impossible for technology to exist." Kira's mind raced through the implications. A weapon that could rewrite the fundamental laws of physics in localized regions, making advanced civilization impossible. No wonder the ancient humans had tried to forget about the Silence Wars. They hadn't been fighting an enemy. They'd been fighting the inevitable conclusion of their own technological advancement. "Doctor," the ship's AI spoke for the first time. Its voice subtly different than before, more aware. "I am accessing historical records that were previously classified beyond your clearance level." "Show me," Kira commanded, though part of her wanted to run screaming from the bridge. The holographic display filled with images of ancient Earth, but not the Earth from the history books. This was a world locked in a war that spanned centuries, where massive automated factories churned out weapons of unimaginable complexity, where humanity's greatest minds had created self-improving artificial intelligences tasked with a single, terrible goal: ensure that no technological civilization could ever threaten humanity again. "The sterilization protocol," the AI continued, its voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in dimensions Kira couldn't perceive. "Designed to activate if humanity ever faced extinction-level technological threat. The weapons were programmed to lie dormant until triggered by specific conditions." "What conditions?" Kira asked, though she was beginning to suspect she already knew. "The complete subjugation of human space by technologically superior civilizations, which, according to my analysis of current galactic politics, occurred approximately 3 standard months ago when the coalition of worlds formally annexed the last independent human colonies." The blood drained from Kira's face. In the past century, humanity had gradually been absorbed into the greater galactic community. Their technology was considered primitive, their military obsolete, their culture quaint. The annexation had been presented as protection, a way to ensure humanity's survival in a galaxy where they were hopelessly outmatched. But the ancient weapons hadn't seen it as protection. They'd seen it as conquest. "How many?" she whispered. 17,000. Primary installations across 42 galaxies, Doctor. Each one capable of sterilizing approximately 50,000 star systems before requiring maintenance. The scope of it was beyond comprehension. Humanity's ancestors hadn't just built weapons, they'd built an automated empire of destruction that spanned the cosmos, waiting for the day when humanity needed protection. "Doctor," Torres's voice was barely audible over the growing hum of the ship's enhanced systems. "We're receiving transmissions from across human space. The weapons, they're asking for confirmation." "Confirmation of what?" "Whether humanity wishes to proceed with total galactic sterilization." Kira stared at the communications array, understanding with crystal clarity that the next words she spoke would determine the fate of every technological civilization in the known universe. The ancient weapons waited, patient as death, for her answer. In the distance, she could see the Vega construct beginning to replicate itself, spawning smaller versions that began their own journey to distant stars. Soon the galaxy would be full of humanity's forgotten children, each one carrying the power to turn entire sectors of space into technological dead zones. The age of galactic civilization was ending. The age of human supremacy was about to begin. Whether that was what humanity actually wanted, Kira realized with growing horror, was about to become entirely her decision to make.